Hey guys, welcome to ANX Gamecast, level 146. I'm Unbiased Ann, I'm here with Genesis and Ray. How's it going, guys?
What up?
What it be?
Wait, hold on. I think it still works.
You think so?
I hope so.
Did you get the dust off that thing?
I didn't. Oh, I see it. Oh, I see a thin line of, oh, that's bad. Okay.
That's embarrassing.
Thanks, man.
Right.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, what are you excited to talk about today?
Ray?
I think it's got to be X-Men, right?
X-Men
97.
X-Men 97. Solo leveling for me.
Okay,
That's what I'm excited to talk about.
cool.
I'm excited to talk about solo leveling too.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
You seen part 2? What did you say?
No?
Oh.
Oh, as well.
Oh, see?
As well.
It took me a second. I was like, what?
Ain't no slang around here. Proper
Saying.
grammar.
Also,
Oh.
Wait, I do propaganda? What happened now?
Yeah, you need to do that.
Oh, no.
So anyway, I think what you do? Like, follow, subscribe. Is that still a thing?
yes, we can all, I mean, it is.
In this particular parallel
More
universe.
at the end, but we can talk about it now if you want, since it's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, subscribe
Subscribe?
Just do
on
it.
YouTube
Like it?
and hit the like button and comment something below. I don't have a question of the week here, but just comment something below. Whatever.
Give us something.
I guess one PSA by the time this is out. I mean, if you're in the DFW area, even though I hate saying that, so even though Arlington is in Tarrant County. Anyway, if you're in the DFW area at the end of July, Anime Fest.
I've heard about this.
Used to be one of the biggest anime conventions in Dallas. I don't know where it ranks now, but we will be there.
And it's like Game Fest too, right?
Right. So I guess they had something called Game Fest. I had never heard of Game Fest.
Yeah.
But they merged the two. So now it's A-Fest and Game Fest. Lowe's, help me out.
Lowe's Hotel. So Texas Live. If you're in the Texas Live, that's the Ranger Stadium.
Texas Rangers, Globe
Ballpark.
Life.
We have the Cowboys stadium right down the street, but it's the hotel right across from them. It's I'm actually pretty surprised they pulled that one. to
I
be
know.
honest.
I was surprised too.
Yeah, that's a brand new hotel, and it's not. I hope the Acon is a little bit cheaper, but I know the hotel's not. But
Well, A-Fest.
A-Fest. That's right. Sorry.
So like I said, we'll have a booth there. We will be there. Come see us. We will be doing giveaways, and there may also be a YouTube giveaway live at that time as well. New segment.
I've heard.
It's not official, but this is something we used to do on Instagram. So if y'all are still on Instagram, we're still on Instagram. Go follow us at ANX Gamecast, and we can get enough followers and maybe some more support. Maybe we'll start posting there again. But we used to do something called, on this day in gaming history, where I would go upstairs. I would go find a game that we own that came out on that particular day, and I would take a picture of it and post it. Don't do that much anymore, but I can do it right here on the pod. So on this day, 15 years ago.
Oh, wow. Monster Hunter.
Is that already 15 years ago?
Monster Hunter Freedom Unite for the PSP came out.
Thank you. Oh,
But
classic stuff.
Oh,
It's a classic.
Oh, it's a classic.
Classic.
On this day, let me get to it.
Can I do the voice? Can I do the voice on the back of the box?
Sure.
In the world of Monster Hunter,
Oh, reading descriptions.
are never alone.
How do you know that's what that person sounds like?
I don't care.
Okay. On this day, 6 years ago, 2018,
So I'm gonna keep passing.
Well, she got. Oh,
Mario
Mario
Tennis
Tennis.
So we're gonna pass this
Aces
around.
Okay,
That's how we're
show
gonna
and
do
tell.
this. Yeah, show and tell.
was released for the Nintendo Switch.
Which is a lot more fun than I remember. It really is.
It got hard though. It was there wasn't enough to do on the game, but there were certain parts that just got too hard. It wasn't fun anymore.
Well, had the kiddo experience. So me and my kids, they'd whoop my ass on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is going to be more difficult to do because this was kind of a strange release for multiple reasons. The first rated M for mature Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy 16, on this day 1 year ago, was released. A copy for the PS5. So this is the deluxe edition. So obviously came with this, right? But it also came with this
Still case.
Oh, fancy.
which is, that's what I like, still case. But because it was a pre-order, I think from Best Buy, they also had a steel case.
Yep.
So that was kind of weird. Like there's some games with no steel cases, and then you have this game with 2 steel cases. Whatever.
But you have to admit, though, of the 2 steel cases,
Yeah, that one's.
this is the one that.
Yeah. So anyway,
It's a lot. You got a lot for
But
today.
it's only 3 games,
Yeah.
right? But one of the games had 4, things to show. So, anyway, y'all ready to get into round 1?
Yes.
Let's get into round 1.
Round 1.
All right, round 1 and the anime that we are currently watching. I'm going first, and dang, I got to go first. So we started this last episode. So we have these Japanese individually wrapped Kit Kat. We don't know what they are. Some of them have pictures on them.
It looks like a vegetable, man. Have fun
Oh
with that.
no! So we decided that whenever we talk about our anime, we're gonna eat the candy.
I can't even tell what that is.
It's a vegetable.
I know, but what?
I don't know. Let's see.
Okay, it doesn't smell bad. It doesn't smell bad. So I'm gonna take a bite and I'm gonna start talking about solo leveling.
I don't think he's liking it. I don't think he's liking it.
That looks. I'm concerned.
Okay, it's not bad.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all.
I thought I was tasting something, but I didn't. It's like a hint of something. You remember how the last one we did was an apple, was that strong apple flavor?
Like applesauce and chocolate.
Yeah, no, not on this one. So
Oh, well, he's eating the rest of it.
Whatever it is not as strong, right? Okay. Solo leveling. I watched the whole first season. There's only 1 season that's been out. And it also caused me to play the game. There's a game called Solo Leveling Arise. I can't enjoy the game because I have to skip through the story. There's like 800 chapters in the game.
Oh my god.
I've only watched season 1. There's only been 1 season Solo Leveling. But
And apparently it was all from the game.
no, I think it was all from, I guess, the manga or whatever they call it, mangas nowadays. And then
Like graphic novel or
something.
Where I can go into a Best Buy and pick up 1,000 of those, but only 1 graphic novel of a regular comic book store.
Yeah. So I think graphic novel, whatever it was that they put out, and then the anime, and then the game, right? So the game is based off graphic novel. So, if you like SAO, I think this might be for you. Have you seen Sword Art?
I have not, but I know of Sword Art. I just
Okay.
haven't seen it.
So the thing I like most about this game, about this show, is that it's more for adults. It's more adult themed. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of gore. There's a lot of death. But that's not all it is, right? And the reason why I like that it's more adult is it opens up the door for more, right? SAO is cool. I like SAO, but it is aimed more towards kids and I guess maybe teenagers, right? It's not really aimed for me, even though I do enjoy it.
yeah.
So you don't get a lot of blood in SAO. You don't get a lot of arms you don't get a lot of decapitations, right? Maybe I shouldn't have said that on YouTube, that word, whatever. You don't get that, but you do get that on Solo Leveling.
Let's see if you have to use unaliving. I guess decapitation would translate to.
Yeah, you just said it again.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So anyway, it's
Head removal.
there we go.
There you go. I'm just trying to help.
Yeah, you're not helping. So I mean, there's been a lot of animes out based with an MMO base, like we're inside of a RPG or a game, but some of the newer ones don't really define it clearly. Like, are you in a game? Is that the big twist at the end that you're really in a game? Like, I don't like that. SAO up front tells you like we're stuck in a game, a virtual MMO game that we can't get out of. And if we die in a game, we die in the real world, right? This one, we're not in a game, but the real world is a game, essentially, right? So they make that very clear up front. So I really, really like that. I've seen the whole first season. You saw a couple of episodes. What did you think about it?
I love it.
What?
Wow.
I love it. I'm like, I can't, I want to watch the rest of it like right now.
Whenever you say you love something, it makes me want to go and watch it.
No, it's good.
Yeah, I can't trust,
I think
Genesis all the
you can.
time.
I think you can.
But when you say you love something, I'm like, I gotta go see it. I gotta see it. Gotta
No,
watch
it is good. I mean, at least the start off. And at first I was kind of like, in the first episode, I was a little confused as to what is going on here, but it gets good. It definitely gets good. I don't want to spoil anything.
What's your favorite? Not
Spoiler
spoiling.
alert.
What's your favorite aspect of it?
It's I want to say like it's hardcore, but that's not even the right terminology. It's like this shit gets real.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, there's no sugarcoating, and it's not. There's some other stuff that came out more recently where it was like big shock value, like some stuff going on with some women and goblins. So I won't go into it.
I'm
But
good, thanks.
But it's just whatever you think would happen if you were fighting big stone monsters, right, with swords and axes.
Yeah.
What would you think would happen to you? So you have a sword, and there's a big 18-foot statue coming at you, and it has a sword or it has an axe. What do you think would happen to you?
Yeah, my sword would break and I would die.
Well, what else would happen? Like, how would you die?
I'd be squished.
Squished. Okay. We had some of that going on.
it's just one of those things where like you're just watching it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
okay. It just gets real, like real fast.
You said that like that one short, whatever, that little kid. He's like, oh shit.
Better not bring your kids, as Chappelle would say.
Yeah, no, it's good though. You should check it out.
I gotta watch it.
You need to check it out.
I'm going to, because she gave a great.
Especially with you being somewhat of a gamer.
Yeah.
I peg you more as a comic book guy, but
I am.
But-
100%.
Yeah.
all right. Who's next? Who's ready?
Well, I guess that's me.
Nope.
Oh.
Oh, it's me?
It's you.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
Where's your candy?
Oh. All right.
Here we go.
That's why we all got drinks today.
Okay. Maybe we should had it open and ready.
Tastes like.
If I didn't know anything, I would think this is a regular Kit Kat.
Right.
That's why you okay then.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no flavor to it.
No, there's something there,
There's
but it's not
something-
strong.
It's not strong.
Is it like minty or something?
No.
No, because I hate mint. But if you broke this off, well, if I couldn't see
Ha,
that,
I got it.
if I couldn't see that it's, green, and you just gave it to me, and I would think it was a Kit Kat. It's got a hint of something, but I don't know what it is.
All right. So what you got?
So still watching Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Just recently finished watching the Cell games.
Cell game. So you finished the Cell saga.
Finished
the
it.
Cell games was at the end of the Cell saga.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I will say this was actually pretty good. I like the Cell saga. I mean, the Cell games. One, it was kind of funny because Mr. Satan was there, Hercule or whatever.
Hercule.
And he kind of puts on this, facade like he's so strong and he's the strongest person in the universe.
Dynamite kick.
Right. And he keeps like making excuses because he clearly can see. Well, in fact, I think even in the beginning, it's determined pretty quickly. He's got nothing on Cell. So there's like a humorous part to the fight. It's not just boring, like, okay, they just keep fighting forever and ever and ever. The second thing I liked about this is that it wasn't an insanely long fight. What do you think? 10, maybe 5, 6 episodes? It wasn't that long. It doesn't feel that long.
It felt longer to me just because it felt like the fight kept restarting.
Yeah, but I guess in comparison to Dragon Ball Super, that felt like it was 50 episodes of fighting.
Right, but in Super you had different people fighting.
Yeah.
This was just like, okay, Goku fighting Cell, and then Goku wearing down Cell. And instead of the next person coming in to fight, here's a sensu bean, recover all your health, and now fight my son. Like, start over. And it's just like, okay.
Yeah, that's true. But for me, I'm always like, I don't like these like insanely long fights. And this one, for me, it felt like it went by pretty fast. Now, yes, I agree. It still was like, every time they were getting so close, one more thing would happen. But I feel like that's pretty in line with the show. They're not just going to end the fight.
Yeah.
It'll never be that easy. So, yeah, I don't know.
You had some questions answered, some stuff that we used to talk about with Mike B all the time, and we tried to not spoil anything for you, but you always asked why King Kai had the halo on his head.
Oh yeah.
Why was he dead?
Yep.
Right. So now you figured out. Now you found out how he died. You also figured out the thing we were talking about with Gohan, which I still have a problem with.
Yep. Y'all used to always say he got his daddy killed.
Yeah. This is my favorite version of Gohan. Right. In the main line of the show. Right. But at the same time, he was playing around with Cell. Well, first off, let's talk about the fact that Cell is essentially killing all of your friends and family, to include your dad, right? All of them getting whooped up on, right? Android 16, who is specifically designed to kill your dad. That is his only purpose. He won't fight anybody else, generally speaking, other than Goku.
He is programmed.
He is programmed to murder Goku. I shouldn't have said murder on YouTube. Anyway.
Unalive
Goku, right?
I hate that word.
Right? I hate it. I don't know, it sounds funny. It sounds weird. It took him being killed, Android 16 being killed by Cell, for you to finally kick in and transform into Super Saiyan 2. Not the fact that they were killing your dad and all your friends. It was this random robot that you just met got killed, and then it's like, oh, now I can unleash the power. It's just like,
was it that it was just the final straw?
It was.
That's what unleashed it.
No, they showed it. They didn't really go into detail, but if you paid attention, you would catch it. There was a calmness to Android 16, to where all the animals and stuff will come up to it and they felt comfortable around him, and that was usually a trait that you only saw with good-hearted people, right? So I think they kind of showed that he's not evil, right? He's programmed a certain way, but outside of that, he's not evil at all. So it was just this, like, you just killed this super not evil person, and and that makes you evil, and that makes you a monster, and I have to take you down. So now here I am.
Yeah. So I love King Kai so much. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that makes sense. Why he has the halo, because basically Goku shot up it. I guess to his planet to unleash this. Yeah,
Cell was going to self-destruct.
Yeah.
So and Gohan didn't finish him off when he could have. So he was, I'm just self-destruct and blow up everything. So Goku has a move called instant transmission. So he just teleported him to King Kai's planet, and it blew that up instead.
And then of course King Kai is like, "What'd you have to bring him here for?" Or whatever. Why'd you have to blow up my planet?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. I feel like you could have took him somewhere else.
Anywhere else.
Like, you traveled all that way after fighting Frieza in a spaceship, so I'm sure you passed a bunch of planets that didn't have people on it.
Yeah.
You could have took him there. So whatever. But now Goku's dead, and King Kai's dead, and that still didn't kill Cell, but Gohan finally finished him off.
Yep.
Or in the show, Hercule finished him off.
Yeah, exactly. Hercule finished him off.
Dynamite kick.
I did like seeing Dende too, because I like Dende. So I'm glad they brought Dende back.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
So you're getting close to the end. Like, you have a few more short sagas, like 10 episodes, and then you got another long one, and then that's it.
When did you start?
Like 5 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I get little bursts, and then I'll go into a lull, and I'm like, okay, oh, no, I don't do it. He does it. He's like, okay, come on. So yeah, it's taken a while to get through this.
Wow.
It's only like 300 episodes.
Now, before you get to the last one, you're going to have to do a recap of the prior 299.
Oh, Lord. I almost feel like part of me wants to watch Super again now that I know more, but I don't know if I can do it. I just can't.
I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't great.
No, I don't. But I'll probably watch the movies again.
Yeah.
At the least.
We can do that.
Okay. All right. That works. All right.
All right. Who's next?
I don't know. I'll go get him.
Ray's next.
Where's your candy?
Oh, okay. Y'all said it was okay, so I'm trusting both of y'all. So I'm gonna try it here. Ready? Here
That's
we
our poker face. It was
Uh-huh.
horrible.
go. I probably wish. Whoa! No, I'm kidding.
Look, he's still eating his.
I mean,
Jen's about to go have a second
I
bite.
know.
you know what it tastes like now that I think about it? I'm pretty sure that's just white chocolate dyed green. So there's the white chocolate Kit Kat. It's
Oh,
closer to that than
the-
a regular Kit Kat.
The apple one had a very strong aftertaste of apple
Yeah.
Mhm.
on that one. This one, I think
That's
you're right.
something.
It feels just like white chocolate.
Yeah. It's like you can tell something's different.
Now, is this supposed to be wasabi? I don't think we can actually show this picture of what this is because it looks kind of perverted. But is this supposed to be wasabi on the front?
I've only
Don't
seen
show it.
wasabi like on a plate. I've never seen it like where it comes from.
In its whole totality.
Yeah.
So anyway, what you got?
So we're on the Hashira training arc
So
finally.
so last time you were here, I don't think it started yet.
The movie dropped.
The movie
And I
came
actually
out.
did a bit of a review on the movie. So I'm going to kind of skip over episode 1 since that was pretty much the movie.
I think I saw episode 1
Yeah.
of this randomly for no reason.
I got to be honest, the first episode was actually pretty good of this because it wasn't done like the prior ones. It took a real serious approach, and the Hashira fighting the demons and realizing for the first time they actually have a sanctuary that's inaccessible to them, and they were in it, but then kicked back in to current reality. They were like, what did we just see? What did we just witness? But it's that knowledge that they take with them to the other Hashira, and they're like, hey, look, this is building. Their sanctuary is not something that we've ever seen. We can't penetrate it, and something's not right.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth. No Diddy.
Anyway, so they start realizing that all the Demon Slayer core, they got to start really training them up to be the next generation of Hashira. And so when we get into episode 2, we start that with oh my gosh, I just forgot the main character's name. Tanjiro, thank you.
And that's what I liked about the first episode. I don't feel like I had a heavy dose of Tanjiro, so I was like, "Ooh,
No, actually, Tanjiro was not in the first episode until the very end.
right."
It was very much about the Hashira, how they're going to approach stuff, and also how they're hitting that next level of being a Demon Slayer by having the mark.
And don't get me wrong, this is not like a Deku thing. This is not a Gohan thing. Like I don't hate Tanjiro, but to me, he's not a real strong main character. To me,
He has his moments. Whenever the arcs have come out, he's central. He's a central character for sure, but it feels like the Hashira are the main characters of this. The trainers, the swordsmiths, those that can fight a demon and not have an issue and fight multiple demons at one time. Whereas in Tanjiro at the beginning is, struggling to be even able to slay his first one.
Right.
Mhm.
And so now we're getting into the upper rank demons, 1 through 10. And, it's just trying to figure out like, well, how do we do this? And if we're going to tap into this mark, which gives us ultra abilities on top of what we already have, like how do we constantly do that? And one of the things we find out is you almost have to constantly be at a state of death in order to unlock it, to reach it. So it's almost dying. And then once you get to that point, then you can tap into it. And now you've got this extra strength to go through and carry on the job. But what we see in episode 2 is, Tanjiro starting to train with each one of the Hashiras. And the very first one, I mean, I love the way my son put it. He was like, man, talk about favoritism. It's just like, oh, you did this really quick, you can go on to the next level. Oh, you did this real quick, you can go on to the next level. But the cool thing, though, is, again, it's watching the Hashira as they're realizing, like, hey, because of him and his sister, because his sister has now gained the ability to walk in the daylight, still being a demon, doesn't have bloodlust, like, that's the next power level. And so the main... the Michael Jackson of it all. He realizes like, oh my gosh, like that's our evolution. That's what I've been looking for, is how to walk in daylight.
Yeah.
So now they've all kind of pulled back.
Wesley Snipes.
Yep, they've pulled back. Yeah, that's right, Daywalker. They've pulled back their attacks, and now it's that while they are in a holding pattern, because basically they're looking for Nezuko during this entire time, which is Tanjiro's sister. The Hashira are taking it upon themselves to train more Hashira, because there's only about like 7 or 8 right now. And so now they're like, we got to have more in order to help us with this battle that's coming, and we believe it to be the final battle.
Nah, I'm no Demon Slayer expert, but I do feel like it's more training than fighting.
Yes.
The show in general.
Yeah. Yep. Well, no, that's not true either, though, because
It's more adventure and training than fighting. I'm not saying there's no fighting. I'm just saying I feel like it's more of that. Like the bulk of a season is going to be adventure and training, and then like maybe a little fighting at the end, but then a big battle at the end, right?
there's fighting throughout.
Right.
But they take time. It's one thing I appreciate about Demon Slayer. They do take time to kind of give their characters backstory.
Right.
Sometimes to its detriment. Like, I don't really need to know the demon's backstory. Like, he just cut off his head, and all of a sudden now we have
His whole life story.
We have 5 to 7 minutes dedicated to how this demon became the demon.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but sometimes I feel like it's needed, because sometimes just the simple fact of, we have to beat him just because he's bad and he wants to destroy the earth, but nobody knows why. It's a little hollow.
We're kind of past that.
A little hollow.
Yeah.
It's a little hollow. So it's like, I would like to know. And sometimes they can play it, what I've been seeing recently, not necessarily Demon Slayer, but they play it in a way where it's like, you kind of realize the bad guy's not really the bad guy.
Yeah. Or they're forced into a position.
He's either forced into it, or he's doing it for like other reasons, or even like Thanos, for example. Yeah. Like, you can make a case that Thanos is not 100% evil.
Well, and credit to, going to Marvel real quick, credit to the MCU for making the first movie, like, everyone, I hated that realization when everyone's like, oh my God, he came out and he killed all the people and they just had the worst ending ever. And I'm like, that wasn't their movie, though. That was Thanos' movie, and that was him succeeding in what he always wanted to do.
Yeah.
I said they even had the hero shot at the end with him just resting, realizing he had completed what he set out to do.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, if you look at it from his point of view, this movie was very much his.
Right, yeah.
You know.
He saved all of humanity in his eyes.
Yeah. Well, all of the universe, not just humanity.
All of the universe. Yeah. All of the known living creatures in the universe.
Right. But for Demon Slayer, some of it's pretty cool, some of it's sad. Some of the demons have their backstory is really it's there because it was forced upon them, and only at the end did they realize they're finally free of something.
Yeah.
And then there are other ones that are complete assholes, and they had it coming. You know.
I think that's you.
Probably.
That would be you.
Probably.
It would be that.
You know.
I'm Tanjiro at the end of everything.
Is that where we're gonna go with it?
And then you are the asshole demon fighting just to be fighting.
Well, there are plenty of Hashira on the good side that are assholes. I can be one of them.
Oh, you want to be on the good side?
Yeah.
But you got the wrong hat on.
Well, I'm the Dark Avenger, man. What can I tell you?
Anyway,
so I'm only gonna go to episode 2. Episode 2, we're starting to really see it. They're coming into doing that, but I do agree with my son. It does feel like some of the Hashira are very much in Tanjiro's favor because of what he's gone through, and then there are others that are just like, you're starting to show us up, and we've done this our entire life. Screw you, little kid. Like, this isn't gonna happen. Like, I won't say. I'll get to this episode eventually, but he just got his ass kicked and handed to him.
That's why I said I'm Tanjiro at the end of everything.
No, Tanjiro just got his ass kicked.
Yeah, I'm not this Tanjiro. I'm not Tanjiro 2 seasons ago. However many seasons there's going to be. 10.
You're like very, very end.
Yeah. He's very, very end.
Yeah, yeah. I'm. Yeah.
I think they ended up putting him in a blender and just hitting frappe.
I bet you they cheated though. Anyway, y'all ready for the next round?
Yeah.
Round 2.
Round 2, our conversation piece. Quote man.
I think we need to clearly define the term classic.
It's a classic.
That's you. Classic. That's you, man. It's your quote.
So, I said that.
I see you got 2 of the classics on the picture.
Yeah. Star Wars and Back to the Future. So I put Back to the Future on there because I actually just watched Back to the Future Part 1 and Part 2 recently.
For the first time?
For the first time ever, all the way through.
Can we talk about this real quick?
Well, you missed the first part of the first one.
No, I'm not even saying that. So you're someone who you cannot really watch movies before a certain time, which is usually when you were born.
No, 98.
No, 98 and up. 98
Okay, so
and up.
98 up, you don't really care for anything prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
While there were classics done between 98 and today, because I think you can have an instant classic.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those that we feel would be classic, be it through nostalgic feelings of youth or knowing that this movie was just, or whatever it was just epic for the time. You won't really go that route. So to even hear you say that you watched part of part 1 of Back to the Future or all of part 2 to Back to the Future, that's a step I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. Seeing you watch something before 98.
It's not a hard rule. It's just a general rule.
Just a general.
Okay. Like if I'm sitting down, like I want to enjoy myself and I want to watch something new, it's going to have to be 98 and up.
Yeah.
Like, but if I'm forced to watch it, like there's a marathon on and we just met these people at the con, or I don't know if we had just met them or we were about to meet them. I can't remember.
It was
the timeline.
after. It was after we met him.
Yeah, but we met the Christopher Lloyd, and I can't really.
Great Scott.
I can't say we met Michael J. Fox, but whatever. We saw Michael J. Fox.
Me and Michael had a moment, so it counts.
And we're gonna have a pod on that too one day. But even in what you just said, you had 2 or 3 different definitions of classic right there. So that's why I said I think we need to define the term classic, because you said instant classic, but then you turned around and said classic because of nostalgia. And it's just like, it can't be both. You can't have, I mean, you can, but it's not likely that you have an instant classic due to nostalgia.
Right. And it's one of those things that's why I said it the way I said it, because classic is, I think how we define it today, it's a real loose term.
It is. It is very loose.
It's generic. It's purposely void of any real definition.
I don't think so, though. The way here's the thing. I don't think anyone is out there actually defining the term. I think a lot of people use it as in, this was a good movie or great movie, whatever, and it's still good or great today. I feel like that's the context in which people use it. And my thing is like, well, hold on. If it's really that great of a movie, why do you have to qualify it by saying it's classic? Like today, 8 Mile is one of my favorite movies. I think it's a really good movie. It came out over 2 decades ago. I don't call it a classic. I don't say 8 Mile is a classic.
It's a classic.
I just say 8 Mile is a really good movie. If you hadn't seen it, go watch it.
I don't think of 8 Mile as a classic. I would never, and I love that movie. I would not call it that.
Here we go. Ready? I'm going to start some arguments. Never seen it.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
It's actually a really good movie.
Yeah, it's dope.
I have a hard time when someone says something is, and not everything. Let me stress this. But when it's like a huge thing where it's like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I'm like, out. You know, I'll catch it one day.
I don't feel like 8
eventually.
Mile was ever that, was it?
I think
Afterwards it was. I felt like it, like a lot of people were like, you got to go see this movie. That's just like with The Sopranos. You've got to watch this right now. No, I don't. No, I don't have to do shit.
I think my thing was I didn't expect a lot from that movie because I saw it when it came out. And I was like, Eminem, like, you know, this is kind of soon for a movie, whatever. It looked kind of cheesy to me. So I think I was more like, I walked out of it. I'm like, that was actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah, no, it was a really good movie.
Yeah.
But okay, let's look at one of Google's definitions.
Google it.
Of classic. Judged over a period of time to be the highest quality and outstanding of its kind. So with that definition, I would say 8 Mile is a classic because of its kind. What better movie is there around music? And or rapping, if you want to get to the subgenre. But is it the best movie based off a musical figure with performances in the movie? Is it one of the best ones? Is it the top one?
I don't know. I mean, so far
I'm asking you. You haven't seen it.
Yeah.
No.
It's not
based on
like a rapper or a singer or.
Oh yeah.
Like,
sorry, I thought I misinterpreted what you were saying. Yeah, I guess so. I can't think of another movie off the top of my head that is.
Well, we talked about the one earlier.
Which one?
What's Love got to do with it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, is 8 Mile better than that movie?
No.
Bohemian Rhapsody. Have you seen that?
Oh, that's a great movie.
Is it better than
But
that?
What's Love Got to Do with It, I think, is better. That is such a great movie. And the acting is so good. I really like Bohemian Rhapsody.
La Bamba.
Oh my God. I saw it when I was a little kid. I loved that movie.
There's
But La Bamba's not in comparison to...
I like the new Elvis movie, but it's simply because I think Austin Butler. That is who it was. Austin Butler.
I did not like that movie.
I did force him to watch that.
He killed the character. Like he was spot
he was,
on.
I mean,
He acted great.
He played a good job, but the movie was just
not the best movie. But that movie got points for me just because of how good he played that role.
Mm-hmm.
So back to classics.
So okay, let's go. Let's take a step back. So I think we were having the conversation, which we've had many times with many people, about how we tend to today, we will talk about certain movies in like the highest regard, but it's simply really because it's more of a nostalgia thing. So like one that we always talk about is Coming to America.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that was like my favorite movie for a really long time. And I'm like, that's a classic, right? That is a classic. But when
you two New Yorkers.
Right. But when I watch it now, I can be honest and say, okay, it's when I look at it through the lens I have now, no, it's not that great of acting. It's not that high quality. It was just, but at the time, it was like the best, right? It's like super funny. Not the best, like we're not like Star Wars, but it was just like seriously funny. And Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall were playing multiple characters, and it was just like so great. Some people
what do you know?
Right? Some people cannot be honest. They're too stuck in the fact that like, no, it's such a great movie, and it's like, let's be honest. So anyway, we were having that conversation, and then we kind of started. I think I probably threw around the word classic. And then he kind of brought that up, like, what is that? I'm like, I think it's subjective because, like, my grandfather will talk about old movies, and I guarantee you he would reference something to him that is a classic that I'm like, I don't know. Now, if you say Gone with the Wind is a classic, I could agree with that. I've never seen Gone with the Wind, but that is something that is, like, still to this day talked about as one of the best movies ever made. But that's not something I would say in conversation as a classic.
But to me, if it's not relevant today or even prevalent, which Gone with the Wind is not, right? It is not the standard in which anything is compared to today.
Yeah.
In 2024. I would agree that it's a classic, but my definition of classic is it was great at the time. Star Wars was great at the time. I can see where Back to the Future was great at the time.
Yep.
It is not good now. Neither one of those movies, to me, are quality movies in 2024. And I would assume that if I watched Gone with the Wind, I would probably think the same thing about that. So my definition of classic is that it was good a long time ago when it came out.
What if it's one that transcends it? What if it's one that is good then, still good today?
I go back to what I said earlier. I don't qualify it with anything. It's just, this is a great movie. I don't have to qualify it with it's a classic. Because to me, when you say it's a classic, you're throwing extra stuff in there to be interpreted. Like,
so read the definition again.
This one definition. Judged over a period of time to be the highest quality and outstanding of its kind. So I say it all the time. Star Wars is great. Okay, compared to what? Because I can make an argument that it's not as good as the ones that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s. I can make an argument that it's not as good as the ones that came out recently. Just for different reasons. Acting, graphics, sound effects, which the graphics and the sound effects are some of the things that made Star Wars popular back in the day. The new ones blow the original one out of the water. And to me, the original one didn't have that strong of a story anyway. The newer one's story was kind of all over the place, but it wasn't just basic generic story that you can see anywhere, which I think Star Wars kind of was.
But I also think I also think with when people throw that term around, especially with movies, like one example it talks about here is a classic novel. I mean, whatever, I don't care about that. With movies, I think it's also kind of like a
We ain't doing that reading thing here.
right. I think it's also kind of like a conversational, almost like not bonding, but like you and I, before he saw it, we could be like, you know, saying quotes from Back to the Future. What's a rerun? You know, and it's like, oh my God, like that is such a classic movie. Like, ah, ha, ha. You know, we're having like a moment because we both know, you know. I think that I think that's the other thing. It's the word is thrown around a lot, you know, like, okay, here's a movie that like not a lot of people have seen. Back to the Beach. Okay. Loved that movie. Had Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello. Okay. I don't know many people that have seen that movie, but I grew up with that movie. So like my brother and I can bond off that and we can be like, that is such a classic. It's maybe it's not really a classic, but it's something that we're kind of saying like, or that's classic. Like, you know what I mean?
Do you think maybe classic overtook because of the genres that we're discussing and because of it not being books or anything? Usually when you start talking about movies, it's always of the day, of that time period, as you were saying. So maybe we've just gone to saying classic because it is classic.
It's a classic.
Because it is something that was in the past, and if someone brings it up, we can sit there and talk about it. But really, to your point, right, what we're saying is this was a great movie for us while we were growing up.
Yes.
And classic just happens to fill that gap for someone else of our ilk to understand.
I 100% think it's like it's the definition has changed. We use it not based on the real definition.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know?
Yeah, and part of the reason this came up too is because of what we're reviewing today, which is X-Men 97.
A classic.
Which I've seen a lot of podcasts on X-Men 97 and a lot of people were referring to the original show as a classic.
Yeah.
It's a classic, right? And so that's where some of the topic came up too, because it's like, well, was it? Is it? What is it exactly?
So is this our segue into X-Men 97?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, let's stick with the original.
So to me, I can 100% see people saying that X-Men is a classic because probably for a lot of young boys, you two included at the time, all you and your friends were watching it. And again, it's kind of a bonding thing, like of you both watched it when you were a kid and it was so meaningful, or it was so great, or you know what I mean?
Well, the only thing that I like from the Google definition is of its kind. That's the thing that stands out to me. So
well, yeah, this is definitely unique.
So X-Men, to me, you probably disagree because I think we had this conversation. Batman the animated series versus X-Men. To me, X-Men was the best comic book cartoon ever.
Back in the day, you mean? Or the one? Are you talking about the one now?
The old X-Men.
Okay.
Not X-Men 97.
Okay.
But X-Men for a long time was the best cartoon comic book show.
And we have had that argument where I've said,
because you were like Batman animated series, which
it
was good, but I just feel like X-Men was better. It just had a little more going on.
There were episodes of, and here's the thing that again everyone's really also got to parse, separate, whatever you want to call it, sift. A lot of the great moments from Kevin Conroy's Batman also happened in the Justice League animated series. And there were definitely episodes in just the Batman Adventures and just the Justice League where it was probably some of the best writing, because whether it was about abandonment or, being an orphan, or some of the stuff that we put kids through today. And these are actual topics that were in the show. You go back and watch that now, it's a hard watch because they hit it. They hit every point. X-Men at that time hit some of those points, and it was good, but I didn't feel that the performances were strong enough. Now, as we get into the review of X-Men 97, I'm going to have some different opinions.
Well, I think the difference between what you're saying, what the difference was, some of the stuff that was being said in Batman was socially acceptable. It was. I mean, talking about orphans and things of that nature and abandonment, like those weren't taboo things. the stuff that the stuff that was being talked about in X-Men were more taboo things that you didn't, certain people didn't want talked about on TV.
Like what?
Right? It was it was more of a racial, everything was kind of a racial tone.
Well, that was the original premise of X-Men in the comic books.
Yep.
Stan Lee's take on
Racism.
racial development in
Yeah.
the 60s, right? Like how we were fighting our way through it and everything else.
Like, so you didn't really necessarily see those types of things, especially not aimed at children. Like that was the leap, right? That they did, and it worked out, right? But so like I said, of its kind, to me,
Classic.
yeah, based off this definition, classic,
Yeah.
of its time, something that you definitely, regardless of which one you use, you have to compare all the other cartoons to X-Men at a certain point.
I think it's fair to call both of them classic. And because you did have more than just that out there. I wouldn't call the Superman Adventures classic. I wouldn't call
No,
Spider-Man wasn't classic.
Wasn't.
And little, the Batman, when it came out in like late 90s into 2000s, not classic. Batman Beyond, there's an argument for it, but as good as its
It was too
predecessor, I don't think so.
There wasn't enough
Yeah.
content there. And I think, like I said, I keep saying this, but of its kind. And I don't just mean cartoons. I just mean
Yeah,
a
the genre.
specific cartoon with social, right, arguments and debates and topics brought up during it. Like, that's unique. And so usually I think a thing a lot of people will do as well is take something that's new, a novel thing, and if it blows up and it works, then it's classic. And that's why they say a classic, instant classic.
Yeah.
Right? Here's this new thing that we're doing. It blew up and it worked. It's classic. Kind of like GTA 3. Like, GTA 3 is my favorite Grand Theft Auto, even though I can objectively say that the newer ones are better because they're the same, except better graphics, bigger cities, less loading time, more interactions with people, better cars, right? All this other, I can objectively say that these are better. My favorite one is 3 because it was that first one
Yeah, fair enough.
that
It was a classic.
That's how I feel about Star Wars. That's how I feel about the first Star Wars.
yeah. But when I say classic, I don't think GTA 3 would be good today. Like, your kids might be different, but it might be these
No,
parents,
they would look at it and just be like, eh.
right? Well, the parents who like try to get their kids to play Super Mario and Duck Hunt,
Yeah.
and it's just like,
They're like,
what
what is
is
this?
right?
But my kids still play the original Super Mario, and if I had the gun for it, they would
Well,
be
that's what I
playing
said.
Duck
That's what I
Hunt.
said. That's why I said your kids are
Yeah,
different.
my
But
kids are
generally
different.
speaking,
Yep, you're right.
kids today who are playing 2K and Call of Duty, you put
Yeah.
Duck Hunt in front of them, they're going to be like,
Which was seen on Back to the Future Part 2 when he goes into the diner.
And he's like, oh, you're using your hands?
Yeah,
It's a
like,
baby's toy.
What the world? Yeah.
So we can go ahead and get into the X-Men 97 review, but
Let me
okay.
stop real quick. One instant classic that you feel. Is that GTA 3?
Instant classic.
What would be an instant classic post? I'll even go a little further. Post 2010. What's an instant classic?
Probably in-game.
Okay.
Not the movie as a whole, because you got to take it as a whole, but specifically that fight scene of its kind. You don't really have a lot to even compare to what happened at the end of in-game, right? Instant classic.
I mean, I'm like Back to the Future is instant classic to me.
No, post 2010.
Oh, after 20. Oh,
Because if we go prior to it, then for me it's The Crow.
The Crow. Yeah,
But post 2010, what would be?
I saw that at the movie
I
theater
know, I love that movie.
for my
It's
13th
a
birthday.
classic.
It's a classic.
I don't know. I'd have to really look. I don't know.
You put it on the spot.
Yeah.
I got in-game. No.
I would actually say the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Because no one expected that movie to do anything really.
Well, regardless of
Surprising.
the expectation, I think that the way it was directed,
Mhm.
it was different.
Yep.
It's not a whole lot that you can compare to
Yeah.
that.
So.
Just before, go ahead.
I was gonna say that would be my post 2010 instant classic.
Well, if you think of one, let us know.
Okay.
Before we get into the next round, Back to the Future and Back to the Future Part 2 sucked.
It did
Round
not.
Oh my
three.
god. All right.
Woo! All right. We're going to try to do this first 10 minutes spoiler free.
Okay.
X-Men 97.
All right.
Boom, boom.
So what? This is a continuation of the original series, right?
Yeah, which is rare, which is of its kind.
So, one season, 10 episodes.
Okay.
Did you guys have any expectations since you watched the original? Was there something you were thinking was going to happen?
No.
What about you, Ray?
No.
I don't really think so. I think when they announced this, I was just like, really? Having known how the original series ended, I was like, I wonder if they're going to pick up. That was about my only expectation.
So how did the original one end?
It ended with everything kind of in a disarray. Xavier faking his death to go with the Shi'ar Empire, and really to kind of have his own life finally, and just kind of like be free of his burdens from Earth.
Okay.
I had no expectations. I was excited when they announced it, but I was more. So I guess the initial excitement was the more of what it could be, because the last cartoon that I watched all the way through was like What If.
Yeah.
So it's like if you take the What If kind of graphics and all that and you tie it into a new X-Men, I was like, oh, this would be dope. Right. And then quickly realized that's not what was going to happen. So actually mine was reverse. I went in with very low expectations and with the hope that they would not F it up. Like what I just, and what I mean by F it up was not them making something that I would enjoy. Just don't F it up where you diminish the name of X-Men. Right. And generally speaking, they did not do that because everyone seems to have liked it. So you didn't F up, right? However, my low expectations were met. This was not good. This was not a good show.
In the first 30 minutes of this show, I texted Sean.
Okay, shout out.
Vagabond Nerds, right? Because he was like, you got to watch this. You got to watch it. Texted him after the first 30 minutes. I said, what the F am I watching? This is pretty shitty.
Yeah.
Like I was really like, he was like, give it a couple episodes. I'm like, right now, I'm struggling to finish this.
It was hard. If this wasn't, if it were not for the fact that I grew up with X-Men and it's a classic,
you would have stopped, right?
I probably would have stopped.
Would it have been at the first 30 minutes mark where you were just like, what are they doing?
I usually give 3 episodes.
Okay.
Now that might not work for this Disney Plus era because you got hour-long episodes and you only got 10 episodes. But generally speaking, I give something 3 episodes.
It was very hard for me to get past this first. Now, at the end of the first episode, I thought, okay, they're going somewhere with this. Let me stick around. So I got to the second episode. I was like, expectations are still not being met.
Yeah.
By the third episode, I was actually a little impressed. Not a lot, but I was like, did not expect them to go that way.
Yeah.
And then as the series started to progress, you started to see them change their tone for better or for worse on it. And it instantly separated itself as being a cartoon from the 90s generation of kids to, because you're the kids from the 90s that grew up watching this, we're going to make this for you.
Yeah.
And now we're going to throw in you as an adult, and we're going to start shifting this cartoon to being driven into that thought process.
More adult.
Yeah, more adult driven. And I don't mean that as in like, oh my gosh, you're doing this, this, or this.
Yeah.
I mean, there
was a little sexual stuff going on that you wouldn't necessarily have in a kid's cartoon. But
Morph hitting on Wolverine.
Yeah, but there wasn't. It wasn't like an adult themed show.
No.
But there was definitely adult themes in it, but that didn't take over the whole show.
Yeah, and by the time this review rolls out, a lot of people already know, like, they had deaths. And I'm not giving away who it was because we're still in spoiler-free territory.
Spoiler-free?
But they had deaths. They had stuff that stuck. They had an attempted Holocaust, which blew my mind for a show driven by kids or driven for kids in the cartoon manner.
Yeah.
Even though here we are all talking about anime earlier, which is very much subject, but normally American cartoons don't delve into that, especially ones that are a continuation of something that was kid driven back in the 90s. So for me, it was that duality of certain characters throughout it, and I don't mean like going from good to bad. It's seeing them have to make choices that they think are the best choices for them, switch and realizing it's just never going to work.
Yeah.
So seeing that actually kind of play out, that part of it I did appreciate, because I was like, it's a new take. It's going somewhere with it, whether it's good or bad.
So this is what I would say, because you said the first 30 minutes was hard to get through. The whole first episode was hard to get through because I feel like if I had to guess, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would have guessed that they used that first episode as a pilot.
Yeah.
And the voice acting was so bad in that first episode.
Yes.
It was like horrible. It got better, but it still never was great.
Yep.
The voice acting in this. And did I appreciate them bringing back the original people? Cool.
Some of them.
Right. But at the same time, I did not enjoy it. I had the feels from the more recent Star Wars movies, right? Where you had Princess Leia there, but her acting skills had diminished. And it's like, I like seeing you here, but me trying to enjoy your performance, I can't. Like, it's bad. Like, it's a bad performance by Leia, right? It's the same thing here. The graphics, not up to par. I appreciate the fact that you try to keep the same art style, right? With some maybe enhancements from CGI.
Mm-hmm.
But I can make an argument that some of the original graphics from 30 years ago were better.
Yeah, that they held up.
Oh, wow.
The hand drawn, the shading, and all that. A lot of stuff was missing from this. It felt kind of hollow from that. So those are my two main things that I didn't like, that were just really disappointing. The graphics and the voice acting. The story, again, no spoilers here, for the next 3 minutes or so, was rushed. They packed too much into it.
There was a lot going on.
There was way too much going on. Yes, I agree there was a lot going on, but there was too much going on. Now, was that on purpose so you didn't, quote unquote, F it up? Right? What if you take one storyline and just stick with that, and it doesn't work?
I'm gonna give you
right,
one.
and so that could have turned into an issue. Right?
Ready?
Yeah.
This felt like the Aquaman movie with the storylines. We don't know if we're gonna get another chance, so let's shove everything that we could possibly love about some of these storylines into this first season.
Now, but here's the deal. Here's the difference, though. I didn't dislike the storylines. They were just
they also
too fast.
They also mixed them. Too.
Yeah, it was just too fast.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't really get a chance to develop certain characters, certain stories, certain plots, whatever, over the course of 10 episodes. It was just rushed. So it's not like I didn't like them. It was way too rushed. I couldn't appreciate it at all.
I love a re-spoiler. Can we go spoiler?
No, not yet.
Some of the aspects of doing that were perfectly fine. And then there's two storylines that I wish they kind of would have held back on. And I think they are. I think they're saving them for the next season. And I'm not talking about the obvious one for next season. I'm talking about two of the subtle ones that they hinted at. I'm really kind of anxious to see how those play out.
Well,
so I hope that's not the end of those arcs, because those two individual stories themselves lead to a much bigger
So I have a feeling that me and you will enjoy season 2 more. And I'm not blaming everything on the guy that got fired, but the fact that he's not there.
And this was a second job he got fired from too.
Automatically means that the season 2 is probably going to be a little different.
Yeah.
Just by default. 2 more minutes here. What do you got? Spoiler free. Did you like this? Because you never watched the original series, right?
Correct. I did not watch the original, and I did not like this. I did kind of start getting a little more interested at a certain point, which I will tell you later when we're through this part.
Okay.
But overall, I was just kind of like, I don't know. I honestly, I can't even pinpoint it. I cannot tell you what it is. I just was like, this just isn't good to me. It's not interesting. I don't care. I'm not like invested. I'm just like, I mean, there was certain things that were happening that I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, because I don't know the history. I like X-Men and I don't know all the history. You know, I didn't know who was related and who was married to who, or whatever term.
Okay, neither did Scott.
Yeah. So, you know, you had already told me that, but like kind of seeing it, you know, more from like a not historical perspective, but like earlier on than I've seen. That part was interesting, but generally speaking, I didn't like it.
So it's funny that you say that you didn't care, because one of the last pods that I watched on this was Pablo Torre. I think it's called Pablo Torre Finds Out, right? I like Pablo.
Yep.
I think
you and Pablo are friends.
Right. Talked to him on Twitter a long time ago. He's my age, right? So he grew up just like, you know. And
I feel like that was a slam against us. I feel that way, right?
He's not as old as y'all. So.
Yeah, he's not y'all. And then Mina Kimes, who was also the same age, which Mina is okay. The stuff that she knows about, she really knows about. So it's like, okay, I value your opinion with something that you say you know about. She specifically said that she liked this so much, and that the current phase of MCU can learn something about what they need to be doing from this X-Men, because they made me care about the characters. And I was like, no, they didn't. Mina, you like the characters because you grew up with the characters. You've had 30 years to develop a bond with these characters. 30 years. And then you want MCU within one origin movie, in a slew of origin movies in the current phase, right? To make you care deeply about Shang-Chi and the Eternals within one movie. And it's like, it's not going to happen, especially not comparing it to this.
Mentally, she was filling in the blanks of what she knew, grew up with, and what she had read. And that's what she was loving about this, would be my guess.
Yeah, because if you've only seen this, and that's why we have Unbiased Ann specifically on the show, she was like, no, I didn't care about, well, did you care about any of the characters?
One.
Well, let's go ahead and go into
Spoiler alert.
spoils. What character was it?
Xavier, Professor Xavier.
So,
Really?
so this show made you care about Xavier.
Well, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
Like what you saw from this TV show.
Well, okay, no, hold on. Let me clarify.
All right.
That's where the bias part comes in.
You're supposed to be unbiased.
I know I'm supposed to be. I can only take it so far.
Can you show her name again, her tag?
Unbiased Dan.
I know. I am unbiased in the fact that I had no history behind this. This is me seeing it for the first time. I had clearly no expectations because I didn't even know what this was. So it's not that it's not that the show made me care about Professor Xavier. I already care about Professor Xavier. So as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, okay, what's going on? Now what's going on? Because I didn't understand, well, where is he? Would he die? Like, I'm just so confused.
So that doesn't count. So at the end of the day, just based off the show itself, you didn't care. It didn't make you care about anybody.
Okay, true. That's probably true. Yep.
I have 3 highlights that I really, really respected and enjoyed.
Okay.
And I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. 2. No, sorry, 3.
I was like, wait,
yeah, no,
what?
I just did this. I mathed wrong.
What? The math ain't mathing.
Yeah, it's not mathing. 3. Logan immediately pulling away from Jean.
Oh.
She was back, and she went to kiss him, and he can't stand Summers, aka Cyclops, but he was like, "You're Scott's woman. Like, this is wrong, and I'm not gonna do it." Like, even though it's everything he wants, he pulls back, and he's like, "No, Scott needs you." 2, Scott telling Wolverine, "Don't you dare die on her." I thought was a really strong thing, because Scott, knowing that would destroy her, even though they're not going to be together, he understands the importance of who he is.
Yeah.
And the first one, hands down, has to go to how Gambit went out. Seeing him charge up the part of the Sentinel that's inside of him at the time, and he's dying, and seeing him charge up, I like watching that whole spot of him charging up the Sentinel to explode. I was like, friggin' A, that looked badass. And if you're gonna die, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. So here's what I see a lot of people say. They'll take the one instance, right? That whole thing that you just said was dope.
Yeah, but it doesn't make the show.
It was the 45-minute episode, and you're talking about 1-2 minute clip
Yep.
that was really dope.
Yep.
What about the other 43 minutes? So that's what I see a lot on social media.
Yeah.
People taking like little bits and clips and saying, "Oh, this show is so awesome because look at this." But it's like the rest of the episode is nothing like that.
And that's the whole thing. It's like it made the episode, but that was it.
Well,
It wasn't enough to save it. There are other little moments.
did it make the episode? Because I think what I saw that they were doing, which was smart, is they just kept leaving you on cliffhangers. It was just
the entire time.
It was just one big thing at the end, one big twist at the end that would make you say, "Damn, now
I gotta watch it to see what happens." Yep.
Right? That was it. If they didn't even have those cliffhangers, it would have been just like one of the worst shows I've ever seen.
The entire episode was solid in the fact of what was going on and seeing everyone react to it. That was pretty cool.
And that's the one you didn't like. I think that's the one you liked the least.
When Gambit died?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember, honestly. It's like kind of a blur.
That's the one where I was just like, everything, who he was, how he was as a character, how they made him in the show, seeing him do that and ending it. Another scene from that episode was Magneto talking, oh my gosh, in his home language and telling the, one of the, what is it? The sub mutants that they would have. And telling him like, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. But doing it in his home language was just, again, that episode was one thing after another, but the climax for that being Gambit's death was just like seeing him go out like that.
Like
was
I
awesome.
feel like you could have stretched out some of the other episodes and made Genosha the last episode of a season.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Easily,
sure.
right?
And like and when you say the last episode, I mean literally the last episode that it ends with everything that happens
with Gambit and Magneto seemingly dead.
You go to season 2.
Yeah. So I would have to go back and look, but the thing that I thought was cool was when the Sentinels would kill a mutant.
Yeah.
And it would say Omega level threat eliminated, right? So we assumed that Magneto died when it said that, and they could have been talking about Magneto, right? The Sentinel maybe thought Magneto was dead, but were they talking about Gambit?
Could have been. I mean, being
like I've never known him to be Omega level mutant,
but being what he did at the end,
what he did
certainly shows Omega level power,
right?
That, and I was reading that. So when they talk about Omega level, they don't talk about the fact that it's a world-ending power. They mean that mutant has reached the pinnacle of what he can do, and he's now considered Omega threat. So they know that if he can charge something, he's at his absolute powerful when they call it an Omega level threat, and it goes scales 1 through 5, 5 being the worst. But you have to figure that Gambit might have been an Omega level 1 or 2 with the ability to destroy the Sentinel like he did.
Yeah. So
I did think it was cool. There was 2 things that I thought were cool. When the other Jean showed up, and it was
the actual Jean,
the real Jean.
Yeah, the actual Jean. That kind of was interesting because you're just like, wait,
but
what?
They didn't give you enough of it.
No,
I mean they went from, hey guys, we're pregnant, to hey guys, we had a baby
in the same episode too, I believe, right?
Yeah. To hey, we're giving our baby away to the future. The old man future baby is coming back to try to save
old man future baby.
Right.
But it's true though, because
and then at the end, the very end, like
Spoiler alert.
showing the future baby when he was a kid. All this within, I say 10 episodes just because I included the last episode, but a lot of this happened within a 3 episode kind of window here.
So, and that's what got me, and that's why I really wish, like, I hope they kind of handle this differently. It looked like when they had brought Cable into the storyline, that they really, I mean, granted, they started talking about Bastion, who was a whole nother villain within his own right, which was good. Like, the whole thing with his mom, I will sit there and say that was kind of freaky. But I was like, interesting. But with Cable, they looked like they started touching on the technovirus, and I'm like, are they going to give us Strife's Executioner song? That whole arc back from the 90s, because that was a strong arc.
Yeah, Strife is, I mean, But my thing is, if you do something with Strife, you're going to have to introduce more characters outside of X-Men.
Yep.
in a stronger way than you did in this. You got a little bit of Captain America. You got a little bit of Black Panther,
Iron Man, Spider-Man, Daredevil.
But you're gonna have to introduce another force way bigger than those people.
Yeah,
if you start doing strife,
and so you could tell that they weren't going to do that. Like by the next 2 episodes later, you're like, okay, they're just pulling elements from the storyline. They're pulling elements from Asteroid M between Magneto, and that was the other one. It was like, you're going to rip out the Animanium. You better spend the time that you spent like in the book, because that him with bone claws was 3 years of material before they gave him back his Animanium. And so are you going to do that? Like, how's that going to go? You know, and then you fast forward and you create an even bigger season for season 2 by technically introducing but reintroducing Apocalypse. And so it's like, where are you guys going with this? You kind of did the Storm Demon storyline where even though it was set like in New Mexico or something like that, I think the original version of that story was set in Africa as she was going back home. So just little things like that.
There were some weird things with Forge to me. Like, I don't vividly remember everything with Forge in the original show, but it seems like, and it wasn't just with Forge, it was with some other characters too. It seemed like there were some characters who I thought knew each other, but acted like they were meeting for the first time in X-Men 97. And I'm like, what? Don't you know who this person is? What do y'all?
How do y'all not know who
So
each other
some
is?
of it, some of it was even in the original where their future expectations or their future selves, and it looks like with X-Men 97 they went back to their current selves before they start doing the time traveling thing, which is why Cable, even though he had been introduced in the original series, was like being introduced kind of for the first time, but it was just how he was time traveling through, which I think he even makes a reference to it. He's like, I've been trying to do this for a while, but there's things that are stopping me, and I can never get past this point. I can only get to this point. You know, there's nothing I can do to actually stop this event. And it's, as Beast is explaining, is like, oh, you've hit a Nexus event. He's like, well, what's the Nexus event? Well, it's an event that no matter what will always happen, no matter how bad you try to stop it. It's meant to happen.
It's like, you didn't see Spider-Verse? What you mean?
Like, come on, man.
What are you talking about?
Aunt, uncle,
stupid.
always gotta die.
Stupid. So I can appreciate that they didn't do the Dragon Ball Super, which is Dragon Ball Super spent many episodes re-explaining things that you should kind of already know if you've watched Dragon Ball Z. Like, they'll spend a whole episode explaining what a Super Saiyan is. And it's just like for me, it's like, I got to sit through this. So they didn't do that, even though they did make reference, but it was really fast because everything was really fast. So they didn't spend a whole half an episode explaining necessarily Cable.
Yeah.
And how he travels and blah, blah, blah. But they did, like you said, reference it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can appreciate that, but the whole show was just too fast.
Yeah.
What else you got over there? Because you don't want. I don't think any of us like it.
No.
But you seem like you hated it.
No, I mean, I didn't hate it. I just didn't really like it. I wasn't, well, and didn't we watch a bunch of episodes together? I think that's another reason I can't remember. Everything kind of blends together.
Yeah.
You didn't like watching it with him?
No, not together. like binge watch.
Yeah, we binge watched.
Yeah.
So a lot of it kind of.
Yeah, I think we kind of watched it in 2 or 3 episode chunks.
I finished this in 2 days.
Yeah. So yeah, I wonder if that's maybe why I didn't like it. I didn't think about it that way, but maybe it was just too much.
You didn't give it time to breathe? You think maybe that's it?
Well,
but she didn't like it. So
I was gonna say that's the other thing. Even giving it time to breathe, there are definitely episodes I liked.
Yeah,
I mean, for sure. The Hoja episode.
Yeah,
liked it. That's probably my favorite episode.
Yeah.
And there are moments that I could pull from almost every episode. Yeah, almost every episode where I was like, could get on them. But as a whole, it was like, it's okay. I'm not in this like, this is the best thing ever that I've seen.
Which a lot of people are.
Which a lot of people are doing that, right? And it's just like there are good points from it here and there. So I'm hoping season 2 stronger. I don't think Gambit's dead. I'll tell you that right now. I think that he'll end up being one of the horsemen.
Yeah, he'll be one of the 4 horsemen.
So,
so this is something that came up while we were watching. You tell me if you agree. You had Rogue out there going rogue.
Huh.
Hey, you see what I did there?
I got it.
And then she ran into Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what did I say?
I don't remember.
Is that what he said? He doesn't remember?
I said he better move around because she will whip his ass.
Oh yeah.
And I think you were like, what? Really? And I was like, yeah, no, this wouldn't be a close fight.
Yeah, it wouldn't be close at all.
This is not even close. Do you agree?
Given the opportunity, she would have killed him.
Yeah, she would have killed him.
All she did was fuck with his shield. That was it.
Yeah.
Like for her just to do that and be like, go fetch, basically.
Yeah.
It was a realization of him too, because you could even see it in how they drew it, of him going like, yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stand down, let her do her thing, because she's gonna absolutely destroy me, and she would.
Which goes back to other times we've potted and we've talked about the X-Men because it wasn't with MCU yet. It's just like, not that we had this exact conversation, but you created a whole MCU off of like a Captain America as the leader of this team that would just get mollywopped by the X-Men.
Yeah. The
whole team.
The X-Men versus the Avengers is a much different fight than what people would think.
Right.
Thor, maybe Hulk would be the only two wild cards in the Avengers side. Otherwise, Cyclops by himself could end up wiping out the
Everybody.
vast majority of all of them.
Just lift his shades.
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad you brought up Cyclops because I think they did him justice. He was a little corny, but a lot of the characters were a little corny, right? It was just the tone of the show. He was a little corny, but I feel like they put him back in his proper place.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't know, and I don't believe people when they say this. I don't know why. I do know why, but I don't know why Wolverine became so popular in 2000 when X-Men came out.
Oh yeah, you did say that.
Like I do know, but it's like anybody who's saying, "Oh, I was a big Wolverine fan in the original series." No, you weren't. You're lying. Like no, you weren't. Like Cyclops was the dude. And then you might have had like somebody else that you like too.
Yeah.
I never heard anybody like I love Wolverine until 2000 till those movies came out.
I did. I loved Wolverine, but not because of the movies and not because of it was his own. When they really started to write him in his own aspect and in his own thing, it was like, is he powerful? Sure, but is he gonna beat? That's one of the books that I loved reading. Josh Whedon's run on X-Men, which of course Josh Whedon ended up being a complete creep in his own right. But his run on the Uncanny X-Men, where Logan and Cyclops get into it. Basically, he catches him sleeping with Emma Frost after Jean died, and is in the window of their bedroom, and he's just like, "So, which step is this of the grieving process?"
Oh,
and
man.
Cyclops was just like, "Cool." And the next two panels, you see this red beam, and Wolverine just. And it was like that realization of like, it doesn't matter how wild you are, little man. Like, I can put a hole through a mountain. Do you think you really scare me?
Well, that was the other weird thing about I don't want to say Wolverine looked worse in this, but he looked older and shorter.
Yeah.
And it's just like the thought that he would ever be with Jean Grey just doesn't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't even look right.
But they didn't even do that proper in the first version of this, in the first animated version of this. It was still kind of that way, like it never did.
But see, as a kid though, I don't think I was looking at it from like, look at this short old man.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have a chance. Like I wasn't looking at it like that as a kid, but now as an adult looking at it, I'm like, this don't even look right. Optics are off.
Gosh, when you meet my new wife, you're gonna say that.
The optics are off.
What are you doing with a short guy? There's some Wolverine lovers out there, man. That's all I can tell you.
But I mean, I think this made some either reaffirming or made some new Cyclops fans, which is good.
I definitely want to see a much more. I don't want to say militant's not the right word, but definitely someone more in charge in the MCU. It needs to be a Cyclops who's like
who's not shorter than Jean, like they did in Dark Phoenix.
Not shorter than Jean. Definitely not shorter than Wolverine. Cyclops should be imposing. He should look at Captain America, and Captain America, much like Rogue in the series, and Captain America goes like one little eye lift, and I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that's how it should be.
Morph. I like Morph. I think out of all of the not new characters, but all the characters, I think I like Morph the best.
I like that he was conflicted. I loved his state of confliction with everything.
Yep.
Um,
And I just like the way that he's the one who introduced all of the other characters because he would morph into him.
Yep.
Right. So you got to see Silver Surfer. You got to see Hulk. You got to see all that stuff. All that stuff was cool. Show overall,
it's okay.
Meh.
It's okay. It's a solid 6.
sure. Maybe I'd probably give it a 5.
5.5. We'll cut the difference. I'm fine with
What
that.
about her though? She don't count.
I'd say 5.
Okay.
All right. So what is that? 5.25?
Yeah. Sure.
Once they average out.
Yeah.
So what are the normal questions here? Would you recommend this to the average Joe?
No.
Would you recommend this to someone who watched the original show? I'm still talking to you.
Yes.
Average Joe?
No.
Someone who watched the original show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go no with the average Joe. I might go yes to some racist, bigoted people. Why don't you just watch this? Let's see if you can learn something, right?
Now, like if you were to say, would you recommend this to people who like the X-Men movies? No.
That's interesting.
Like the Fox movies?
I think I would.
I'm gonna say no. Here's my hot take for the day, and then we can get going because I know you gotta go.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Um,
Just kicking me out because he doesn't like my opinions anymore.
when you're saying the same thing as me, man, you got to go. I could just done this solo.
I told you to do that.
I said so. We did a review on an anime called Pro Man with Mike B.
Yep. Mike B.
And what I said on that show is that this is the type of anime that anime nerds get made fun of for watching.
You think you feel that with X-Men?
That's what I feel about this X-Men 97. This is the type of cartoon that comic book lovers, even today a little bit, would get made fun of for watching.
You know
if a random outside person who didn't really know anything, like you had some knowledge of X-Men.
Yep.
You didn't watch the original show, but you had some knowledge. If you had no tie-in to MCU and you just watch this, I think it would be too over the top. It's kind of too crazy. It's too fast. It's too weird. All the powers, and they're not really explaining it, and it's just
You don't have the history.
you don't have the history, and it's just like, oh, and here comes Storm, and then she gets her powers back, and then here's Jean. There's a clone, and then she turns into a fire. This is the thing that people will make fun of you for watching.
But those are also the same people that wouldn't give a shit about the opinion of those people because they do love that. So it's a catch-22, right? So like, yes, they would absolutely be made fun of, and this would be the staple of what they would make fun of them with, but they wouldn't care anyway.
My point is, they got lucky that so many people loved it for no reason.
Yeah, probably.
Because if those people didn't love it so strongly and go on every podcast and say how great it was, and then it was just like, and then you had the people voices out that hate on this just for no reason, this could have went really bad. And then that's a scenario I don't want for X-Men. I don't want X-Men to be relegated just to Disney Plus, because there's some rumors that this is going to tie into MCU live action. I don't necessarily want that to happen either. Right, I want them to do the proper 10-year journey with X-Men like they did with Avengers. But if they shortcut it through this, I don't know if I like that. If this was hated on more, they definitely would have went that route.
Yeah.
Right, and just give you some big movies, right, at the end. So, there
we go.
You know what that means? That must mean time to wrap up.
I think so.
Say it.
What'd you learn?
What'd you learn?
Unbiased Dan.
I learned that Professor X faked his own death and went to whatever planet or wherever.
Get some alien booty?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know what. I was very confused in the beginning. I was like, where is he? I don't understand.
Traveling the sky.
I learned that my thoughts on Rogue beating up Captain America was affirmed because you're the resident comic book guy.
There you go. I learned that we actually really agreed on this for a change, which normally on our hot topics, we kind of fight.
We
and argue
talked
with it.
we talked about this before. I think we agree a lot more than you give us credit for.
I don't know,
A
man.
lot more.
I don't know.
Like we are pretty much the same.
This one did. I was wanting to really like this more than I did. I didn't want it just to be okay. And again, I think I still have the text to Sean where I was like, why am I watching this?
WTF?
What's going on here? Like, this is crap.
But again,
it ended better than crap.
But again, I'm not going to do the Mike B thing with the Star Wars. Like, I'm not going to boycott it because it's not what I want.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like it, if everyone else is liking it, and it gets me a season 2, at least season 3 and season 4, I'd rather have that than not have it.
I am someone who, and I can't believe I'm about to admit this on this podcast here because I'll get hate for it. I'm someone who actually enjoyed The Last Jedi. I thought that was a different take on Star Wars.
Which one was that?
That was
one?
8.
That was
number 8.
So not the last one, but the one before.
The one before.
Where Luke is like living up on the
Luke
hill.
is at the very end. Like it didn't have anything of the last one. It was them finding. Well, actually, the second one was finding Luke, right? I can't even remember now.
I
I'm
can't
sitting here
I
thinking
can't
about-
remember because we watched all those kind of.
I
It
thought
it was with Luke, but what I liked is the fact that they didn't hesitate to. It was a different take on it, and that's what people got because it
think I
wasn't the
liked it.
formula.
I think I liked The Last Jedi. I'd have to go look.
A
back
lot of
and-
people, that's where like they toss their cookies on it, and they're like,
Yeah.
I can't do that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So again, even though I didn't like it, I'm glad other people enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Keep making them.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them than not have them.
Yep.
That's it for today, guys. Thanks for listening to ANX Gamecast. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we release new episodes. See you next week.
Hooty hoop.
Dynamite kick. Wait, that wasn't good.
Try it again.
Dynamite punch.
No, still not. Dynamite kick.
No, that's not.
Okay, well,
No.
fine.
All right.